my dad brought my mother and my sister, my oldest sister Millie, to the United States. And we lived in Oneida, New York, where my father had a business and where I was born. And then we all moved to Brooklyn.
Most of all, the brothers and sisters was born in Brooklyn. 5614 New Utrecht Avenue, only 3 miles from Coney Island. Then we went to New Rochelle.
1938, we moved to New Rochelle, New York, where my dad had purchased a Chinese laundry.
We didn't live in houses. Everybody lived in laundries. They lived in the back of the laundry. Everybody knew the Wong girls. If you wanted somebody to help you in the laundry, get the Wong girls.
Yeah.
Times were very tough. You talk about taking a bath. We used to take a bath in these galvanized pots.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we'd be sleeping on top of the roof of my mother's, where my mother and dad slept. And then sometimes when it was hot in the summertime, we'd be sleeping in the backyard.
And Mom and Dad had a little laundry there, and they made go. They did what they had to do, raising all those children. It wasn't easy. It was very, very hard. I remember my father taking us to Chinatown one at a time, and each of us getting a bowl of wonton soup. At that time it was 25 cents.
I remember when I was maybe 6 years old, I was playing with my father's shaving cream, and I was making mud pies. I mean, that's a long time ago.
My father, he always took me everywhere with him. When I was small, he was always good to me. We always stopped when we got off the train on Canal Street. There was a place that sold hot dogs and Nedick's orange drink, and he always treated me to that, and I remember that very well.
My mother, well, she was always busy because we had so many kids.
I think she always favored Uncle Tom because he was the youngest.
My mother, she always favored me because I was the youngest.
We didn't have much, but in many ways she showed that she loved us. And I remember one time we had a snowstorm. Nobody had cars, and she must have walked from the laundry to the school, and there was a stationery store on the corner, and she had a packed lunch for us.
But Millie did a lot of work too.
Yes, she did.
She did a lot of work when we were growing up.
And it was my sisters, Millie, Dorsey, Jeannie, all those 3 girls. They're the ones that kept the family together.
Having 10 children at that time is kind of hard. My mother gave away a sister called Lorraine. And May was on the agenda too. She was going to give May away. Until I begged my mother not to. You know what, Tom? It was hard, but it was nice. In those years, you didn't have much money and you didn't do many things, but everything you did was family. That was it. Everybody pulled together was family. Dorsey, well, she gave me a good laugh too one time. Her and I were fixing something. You know, when you saw something, you're supposed to know what you saw. We didn't see it coming. She was sawing and she went flop right on the floor when the wood broke. Do you remember, Dorsey?
I remember the first job I was in junior high school. The teacher gave me a job to be a babysitter for a family. And I took care of these 2 little kids.
I was a paperboy. I mean, you up and down Franklin Avenue, I knew everybody.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I started when I was 11 years old.
In my teenage years, I did work for my brother-in-law, Norman, and I worked there in the restaurant.
I used to scrub floors 3 days, and I only got $1.25 for 3 days' work.
And you know what she gave me? She gave me a check for $1. $1. And what was I going to do with a check with $1? I had no bank account, so I really don't know what I'd do with that check.
Wow.
I was 12 years old at the time, and it paid 50 cents an hour. Boy, we thought that was the world, 50 cents an hour.
We had to work harder to prove to them that we could do the job.
And we put in long hours, and we put in a full day's work.
And that's what we try to instill in our children. And that's where they get it from.
Yeah.
When the war broke out, we were just graduated from high school.
The night school teacher recommended me, and I got the application, I guess, and I went out to Tarrytown, and I got the job.
General Motors had converted their plants into airplane factories.
You heard of Rosie the Riveter? It's Millie the Riveter.
And everybody's in the same boat.
Sure.
So you got along great with everybody. Everybody cooperated with everybody.
I riveted, I booked, and we had a good time. I learned a lot. And I only made 59 cents an hour, and that was good money in those days. 59 cents an hour, just think of that.
We worked on the wings for the Spitfire, and we worked there until the war ended.
I remember that day very clearly. They pulled the whistle, and everybody just picked up their $2 and walked out.
They just closed the factory and they said the war is over, and everybody went home. No more jobs. That was it.
That evening we went down to Times Square and we celebrated with everybody else. It was really something.
I met Grandpa after the war. Aunt Jean was corresponding with Uncle Guck at that time when we lived in New Rochelle.
There was a fella named Kid Shook, and he was very, very good. He used to deliver laundry on Saturdays. Guck came to America, I guess. I don't remember. All I remember is Kid Shook brought him to the house one day and introduced him to us.
It's amazing because practically all my brother-in-laws were in the same outfit.
I met Uncle Joe in 1947. We got married in 1948.
He had taken some pictures, and he sent it to me. And then Emma saw the picture of Blue Eye.
I told Uncle, I'll take that one, not knowing that he was home on leave. They completed their boot training at that time, and he was home, and that's how I met him.
That's how I met him. He was working in this restaurant and they had a coffee bar, and we went, Uncle Louie and Aunt Emma and I, they were going together, and we went in there. It was very cold, it was Chinese New Year, and we went in there for a cup of coffee. And that's how Uncle Louie introduced me to him.
Oh, I thought, oh, he's just another guy, that's all. That's all. If anybody had told me that I would end up with them, I'd have told them they were crazy.
Actually, it's funny because I liked her, but I really didn't know her. And one time, Manny was dating Lila. Ping was supposed to go on a double date with Manny and Lila, but she got stood up. So my brother asked me if I wanted to go, and I said, yeah, I'll go because I do it. And that's how it started. You know?
Wow.
I was just standing.
Yeah.
And from then on, it was just...
The rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history.
The favorite that I met Uncle Joe a long time ago, and I was very, very happy. That's a good story.
After the war, there were no jobs. I got married in '46, and we stayed with my mother for a year. We came to Detroit because a friend of his father owned a restaurant, and they said that maybe the opportunities were out here were better, so that's the reason we came out here.
Aunt Emma and Uncle Louie got married, and he was the best man and I was the maid of honor. They didn't have anything to do either, so they came out and joined Uncle Guck and Aunt Jean in the laundry business.
Right.
Where he went, I went.
Right.
And we've been happy ever since.
Yeah. You certainly have been.
Well, we came back to New Rochelle, and Grandpa opened a Chinese restaurant called Lee's Takeout.
I was going with 2 Caucasian boys in New Rochelle, and my mother did not approve, so she sent me to Detroit with my 2 sisters.
I lived on Cadillac Avenue in Detroit. That was the first little house I had, and it was so nice and clean. And the only way you locked the door was that you pulled the string to shut the door.
After we purchased the house, I think the house cost like $4,500, and we had to struggle to get that money. And we bought our home in 1963 on Church Street. But all the boys had been in the service.
I graduated from high school in 1960, and friends of mine said, "Well, let's go down and see what they were offering." Before I knew it, I was in the Air Force.
I got a job in the postal service. So then I moved in with Jean's father-in-law for like 2.5 years.
Uncle Louie and Uncle Guck had a laundry. Henry called up Uncle Louie. He said, "Would you like to meet my sister-in-law?" And he said, "Oh, okay."
We're all over the place now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Little this, little that.
Yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
over, so that's the way it is. I mean, if you wanted to look at a unit, I guess our family would be up there.
Yeah.
This is so important, family, to stay together. As we get older, I think we've gotten closer since we've gotten older.
The most important thing is family.
Family's everything, and I'm glad our family's so close.
That's the way the generation was. We had very happy days. Didn't cost much. We had a lot of fun.
Mama and Papa would have been very proud of us.
Sure.
And like I said, I'm very grateful for family, and I'm very proud of all my children, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews. I really am.
When I think of my mother and I think of my father, I know that they would want their children to have good morals.
I just want them to be good kids and care for their parents, which they do.
Do it while you can do it, you know? Enjoy life. And, like I say, family makes it all worthwhile.
I can only say that I have great kids. I love their spouses, all of them. I love each and every one of my grandchildren. And my great-grandchildren, I love yous all. That's it.